Hi there, Jay Smith here down at Berry Golf Range here in Suffolk, and today I'm doing a three-way review. I've been asked by one of my subscribers on my channel to do a review between the JPX Forged, EZ Forged, the JPX 900 Forged, and the MP25. Now, all clubs they're all slightly different, they're all offering slightly different things, but you could say they're within a similar-ish group, that when people are looking for a certain type of club, these three would be well worth looking at. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with the JPX EZ Forged first, just purely because that's one I have in the shaft. It's a Project X LZ 5.5, and well, it's dark. They started this with the JPX EZ from last model last year, which had the orange on it, which was like proper Marmite. You either liked it or you didn't. This is different now. It's got rid of the orange and it's just plain dark nickel, chrome, whatever they want to call it. But it looks nice. It does look nice. Unfortunately, it's got a little bit too thick top line for me. I prefer a slightly smaller and thinner top line. Blade length isn't too big really for an EZ club. Quite a big undercut cavity, trying to pull the weight far back and down away from the face, try and make it a bit more forgiving. But there's a little bit of offset there. I wouldn't say it's an offensive amount of offset, but it's trying to offer a certain amount of assistance, but trying to keep a certain amount of classical looks. So let's see how it hits. It's forged, so it should, hopefully, feel forged and feel Mizuno forged like. It does. I caught that one fractionally out of the toe, being picky, fractionally out the toe, but it still felt quite nice. It was high. It was as high as what I would expect one of these clubs, obviously being slightly more game improvement to go. I think what I'd expect it to do. Hit another one. Oh, I caught that one slightly groove low. That was groove low. That's at target, but it's groove low, so it hasn't flighted up quite as high. Still, considering I hit it a groove low, it would have, I'd lost some distance. Of course I would have done yesterday, but that would have been gone a little bit lower. That would have scooted in hopefully into the green, but let's hit one hopefully a bit better. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's definitely higher. That's really high. When you do catch it right out the middle, that's very, very pleasing. I quite like that, considering I'm not a great fan of the look. I'm not a great fan of the dark look, but that's personal preference. I quite like these because the sole's not that thick, really, for a game improvement iron. Although it's the forged version. It's just the top line looks a little bit chunky. It doesn't suit my eye. The blade length's a little bit too big, but then again, we're in that kind of range of clubs. Yeah. That's a lovely feeling club. I like that. I do like it. I just couldn't get over the top line. It's a bit thick for me. Apart from that, you can't go wrong. It's a lovely flight, nice and medium high. It's not JPX 900 hot metal high. That's crazy high. But no, that's nice. Right, let's flick over. We're gonna flick over to the, what should we do? JPX 900 Forged. If I can get the head off, there we go. Oh, which is that one? You can pick that one out straight away because it's a satin finish to it. Completely different to anything that Mizuno have done before, being that kind of satiny look. Blade length again is a little bit big, but then again, when we go to the MP25 next, it's because the MP, what I'm being used to the like MP irons, the blade length is quite small. Oh, well, I wouldn't say small, it is smaller than this. So, but then again, it's supposed to be a JPX iron, which should be forgiving. But a little bit of offset, the sole's not that thick, the top line's now got a lot thinner, which I quite like. Let's see if this does the exact same thing as my other tests do and fly out a bit lower. Yeah, I caught that one groove low, so that will be lower anyway. That's not far off target. That's 6 or 7 yards to the right. Caught it a bit thin. If anything, that's what I'm going to do. I'll miss it a little bit low on the face. Let's just try and hit another one properly so we can actually see what the trajectory is to compare. There we go. Yeah, it is lower. Definitely lower. I mean, I'm referencing these against clouds in the sky. What we'll do is I'll go hit some more on GC2 with Pro V1s to actually properly see what the differences and comparisons are between all the flights and the spin rates, etc. of all the clubs. I actually like the feel of these. These do feel nice. These have got boron in them this time, so you do get a little bit more of a clippy feel rather than the standard forged feel. But I tell you what, they feel lovely to hit, but they're just lower. So if you're a high ball flight person and want to try and get their ball flight down, this is definitely one to test, because this will, in my own tests, do flight the ball lower. Now, I'm not particularly trying to change anything. I mean, if I try and hit one higher, just to see if I can hit one substantially higher. Oh yeah, I can hit it high. If I want to, you can really send it up. But when I say send it up, that one went quite high then, but that was the standard what I was getting out of the JPX 900 hot metal. That was crazy high. That was crazy high. But let's hit one more normal one of these. Oh yeah, it feels lovely to hit though. It really does feel nice to hit. You can feel the boron in there, slightly more clippy than normal, but you can't get away from the fact that it's flying really well. You do get quite a decent amount of distance. This is 27 degrees, so it is stronger than one I'm going to test next, the MP25, but good club. I like it. I like the feel. I just can't get over the trajectory difference, especially when you go from this one, which I then just tested from before, that JPX EZ Forged. There is quite a substantial difference in trajectory. So last one, the hardest one to hit, the MP25. And out of all the MPs, I would argue actually the easiest one to hit, because it's got slightly thicker sole, slightly chunkier back end to it. Still quite thin top line. It's about the same as the JPX EZ Forged. If not, you could argue, no, they're probably exactly the same, to be fair. You'd give them like verniers to try and tell the difference between the two. It is that close. This has got boron again, like the JPX 900 Forged, so you won't get that pure forged Mizuno feel that you would do out of, say, MP5, but it's a lovely small head size. The length is nice and small. It's not anything nowhere near as big as the old JPX 900. It's chromed, but it's not overly chromed like the MP5. It's kind of brushed chrome. It looks lovely, it does. It's hopefully it feels lovely when I hit it. Oh, yeah, I tell you what. Now, it has escaped to me what the loft is on this. I will put it up on screen. I'll put up on screen what all the lofts are between the JPX EZ Forged, JPX 900 Forged, and the MP25. Put them on there. So you can compare, when we do the numbers and bits and pieces like that, you'll have in your own mind how to take the numbers, and I'll go into a little bit with it when it comes to explaining them. But I do like this club. It sends it high, but not overly high, but you just get that lovely feel that you would get from an MP iron, but with a little bit of clippiness from the boron. Apologies guys, the battery died. Replace battery time. So we can finish off this one. Just about to hit this last MP25 before we do some numbers. So let's hit those last MP25. Oh yeah, it's high. It is. It's a mid to high flight. Definitely is mid to high flight. Definitely a lot higher than the JPX 900 Forged. I would say actually no real difference to the JPX EZ Forged, but you get a lot better feel from this. But then again, you don't get the I would say forgiveness that you get from the EZ. With the EZ, you can slightly misstrike it. When I'm saying slightly, I'm talking very, very slightly misstrike it, and you can still get somewhat what you want. When it comes down to these MPs, when you don't quite hit that middle, and even like 5mm off left or right, you do see a difference in transfer of energy and then also distance. So yeah, let's go hit some on GC2 with my Game & Ball Pro V1 and get some numbers. Right guys, numbers time. It's a bit of a change of scenery. So, JPX 900 Forged. Now we'll start with that one. And again, just how I'm hitting today, I don't know. I am hitting the ball slightly lower today. I've seen with other tests and bits and pieces I've done today that I am flying it down a little bit lower in real world terms. We have got a wind that's into today at the range, so when it's a case of hitting the ball, they do seem with the range balls to climb more, but you're going to get that when the wind is into. So it's a bit of an illusion to see the ball flights. When you get on real world, real ball data with the Pro V1s on GC2, you can actually see what, when you take wind out the equation, what you are actually doing. And again, with the JPX 900 Forged, the flight is noticeably lower. It is noticeably lower than anything I've tested today, and I've done some other testing as well on other ones rather than just this video. I've done other testing as well, and this one is lower than all the rest. So the ball speeds are pretty good. They're up at 122. They range from 119 on a slight misstrike, very, very slight misstrike, and up to 124 on a very good hit. And they range from 172 to 181. So you can see there when I do get that slight mishit, they are forgiving to a certain extent. They are more forgiving than the blade, but when you really work into forgiveness, when you're looking at forgiveness, guys, it's not a massive amount. It's not like you can get one club head that you can strike it all over the face and it'll produce the same ball speeds. You will get a drop off in ball speeds. It's just that fractions more helpful in different clubs. So when you do not quite strike it right, I have left it in there because you do need to see that we are not robots here. We are human beings. We all do hit the ball slightly differently, and I don't strike the middle every single time. So left that one in there, so you can see it's 172. That did drop down a good, what's that, 9 yards? So it's a good, say, 10-yard gap when you don't quite strike it. That is the difference between hitting the green and potentially not. Now, I always do, for some reason, struggle with this club, whether it's because I visually see the flight obviously quite a bit lower and it's not something that I'm normally used to seeing. It doesn't quite suit my eye. But launch angles, again, they're down 2 degrees lower than what I would like to see. Spin, again, is dropped down to 4.4. Now that is, for me, is just way, way too low. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be the same for everybody. It's just me, but for me personally, the spin's too low, the peak height's too low, and the descent angle is not quite enough. But if you're someone who hits the ball quite high, if you're a natural high ball flight person, you've got to try the JPX 900 Forged out, because they will, from my own test, lower your flight. And if you're someone who sticks it way, way too high and you're looking for a club that will do that, test these out, because these are very, very good. But then carry distances, on average here was 178. So if I take out that 172, to be fair, it makes no difference at all, because all my other ones are up there anyway. So if you look at 178 for a club that's 27 degrees, that is basically what my 5-iron is. So I hit my 5-iron around about that distance, so you can see I hit the ball slightly higher with my 5-iron and descent angle slightly higher. So yeah, I don't know. For me, this does not suit me. That's not to say it won't suit everybody else. Let's move over to the JPX EZ Forged, because this one I did find was a lovely club to hit. Now, I'm not saying that the JPX 900 Forged was not nice to hit. It was. It was the classic, lovely Mizuno soft feel with that little bit of boron in there, but this has got no boron in it. It's literally just like the EZ Forged, and it goes really well. Now this loft is 1 degree weaker than the JPX 900 Forged at 28 degrees. So ball speeds have dropped, but they will drop. Obviously, the more loft you put on the club, you get less transfer of energy, less efficiency, so you only get ball speeds drop. So you're looking at 120 miles an hour, so it's dropped by a couple of miles an hour. Launch angle's 14.5 now, so it's lifted up a little bit. Spin has increased slightly, but then again you're going to get that with slightly more loft at 4.7, 4.8. Peak height's gone up to 26, again not the highest I'd like, but then again, as I say before, I'm not the highest flight person in the world. But the carry distance has then gone to 174, which is about 4 yards less than what you would see from the JPX 900. But of all of them, this is the key. The JPX EZ Forged for me may not be the nicest one to look at from the point of view. For me personally, it's got too thick a top line, but that's a personal preference. It was by far the most easiest one to control. If we look at the trajectories on that, I've left every single shot in there. So I had one that went slightly left and a little bit longer, but you're going to get that if you slightly close the face a fraction. But look at it, it was bang on nearly every single time. Now, I cannot get away from the performance of this club. I really did like the performance. If this spun just a bit more and had a bit more peak height, then I don't like the look of it, because I'm not a great fan of the dark finish, and I'm not a great fan of the thick top line, but on performance only, you can't deny that performance. That is a very, very nice feeling club, a very, very good performing club as well. So it's definitely one to test, definitely one to test. Right, now let's go to the last, the MP25. Now, again, this being an MP25, this one's got boron like the JPX 900 Forged, so it will feel like a little bit more clippy than what you would normally assume with an MP iron. And being an MP, you don't get the forgiveness like you would do on that last one with the JPX EZ Forged. You have to absolutely middle these to get a true and consistent flight. Now, I've left every single one in there, so you can see that they range slightly. Looking at the, I got one on there bang on target, literally bang on target, but then you can see other ones, they're ranging from 7.3 and then 6.5 the other way. So that's like 13.5 yards, 13.8 yards between left and right. Now, that's not too bad when you look, if you're thinking zeros in the middle and you're only sort of 7 yards left and 6 yards right on the other one. So we are humans, guys, so we've got to take the fact that that is actually not bad figures. And they're going from like to 173, and looking at all the numbers there on the carry distances, like 173, 174, 173, 173, 172, 171. There's only 3 yards in it between front and back. Now that is good. Now the strikes I felt weren't bad at all. I felt that I was within reason middled nearly every single one. I did have one that popped out for some reason at 123 miles an hour, 2 to 3 miles an hour faster than the rest. But we're being picky here. If it's like 2 miles an hour faster than the rest, that could be if I caught it absolutely pure, and the other ones I caught slightly either low or, well, I don't know. We're talking very, very picky here, because we're picking over a few yards. It feels lovely. So if you can strike the middle, and this is the key, you do have to strike the middle. This is definitely one to try. If you're not quite striking the middle, then you're looking at the JPX EZ Forged. The JPX 900 Forged for me doesn't really sit anywhere in that. If you look at the MP25, the peak height went straight up to nearly 30, so bang on, there we go. The spin's gone back up to 5.5, that's where I want to see an MP iron. It's a 6 iron, and with a 30-degree loft that the MP25 has, so it's 3 degrees weaker than the JPX 900 Forged, it's 2 degrees weaker than the JPX EZ Forged. It's weaker, yet the distance is not that different at all. I think the JPX 900 Forged went 178, if we go, yeah, 178 on average, and this went 173. Yeah, it's 3 degrees weaker. But its peak height a lot higher, a lot higher. The spinning is a lot higher. So when you look at trajectory side, that is stopping the other end. When it's coming in at that trajectory at 44.3, anything around 45 degrees with that amount of spin will stop. And that's what I want to see. from the point of view of dispersion, I could put up with the MP25 and its dispersion, looking at I'm equal left and equal right. If you're just going on dispersion only, you'd have to say performance-wise would be the JPX EZ Forged. Now, dispersion is me, so club manufacturers can put lots of tech into their clubs to try and tighten up dispersion, but I can override anything that the club manufacturers will do with just how I deliver it, how I strike it. So if I was to make a decision what clubs out of all three I prefer, I'd have to say the MP25. It looks the nicest, my own personal preference. It performs the best from the point of view of launch angle, peak height, spin rate, descent angle, and actually decent amounts of carry, considering it is 30 degrees and the rest of the other clubs are stronger. So you've got to get tested for these guys, so just go out, whatever, if you're looking at these three clubs, make sure you go out and test them. Whatever you decide on, make sure then you get custom fit, and then you'll know for yourself. So hope guys that you enjoyed the 3 different comparisons. If you did, like the video, comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on my other social media. On Periscope, search Ask Golf Nut, and on Twitter, search @AskGolfNut. Thanks for watching.